Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
Kind of irritating that they get to move in next to families with kids. They don't really get an option.
Moving in near a sex offender, many neighbors say they feel unsafe. But are offenders actually living where you think they do? Thanks for joining us tonight. Last night we showed you the common misconceptions about sex offenders that could make you and your kids more vulnerable.
Tonight we're investigating the system that Fargo police have in place to keep track of those offenders. Are they actually living where they say they do? Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson pays a visit to some of those addresses and has more on the safety of our community.
A red dot on a map. It's supposed to caution the community a sex offender lives here.
Just irritating that you have to pick and choose where you live because you're stuck living next to them.
Some rely on this information for peace of mind. We wanted to find out, is it accurate?
Hi there, how are you doing? My name's Nicole.
We picked a high-risk sex offender off the list who will have to register his address for life. Then we paid him a visit. A man answered the door and confirmed the offender lives here.
Registered sex offenders in Fargo.
He didn't want to comment any further. Next, a level 2 sex offender. Turns out she does live here at the treatment center. Then, a 50-year-old level 3 sex offender wasn't home, but his neighbors confirmed he lives here.
I've seen the cops down here a few times just checking, I think, to make sure that they're home or, what the situation is, but I kind of wish that it would have been a little more obvious.
Casey Wisman bought this house and didn't know who he was living next to.
I haven't had any problems with them. At first I was really nervous, but now it doesn't bother me so much.
Then we knocked on the door of a level 3 sex offender. The man who answered said, quote, "I cannot answer that at this point," leading us to wonder, how accurate is the system?
We always err on the side of doing more than is required of us.
Lieutenant Joel Vettel with the Fargo Police Department says it's not a foolproof method, but they make routine checks. The higher risk offender, the more often police go knocking. But if you scroll down the list, what about the homeless offenders?
Really, we had a difficult time keeping track of them.
Recently, police and lawmakers changed North Dakota law requiring homeless offenders to check in more often.
I think the police department and parole and probation do a really good job of keeping that up to date and making sure that, people are where they say that they are. But ultimately there's only so much that can do.
Stacy Benson, a psychologist who does sex offender treatment, says these offenders aren't just red dots on a map. They're people, each very different.
You can see a dot on a map and think that particular individual is much more risky than they may be. The other thing is there's a whole lot of people out there that are not on that dot. And so the registration does not necessarily do everything that we would like it to do in order to be able to keep people safe.
Benson and Vettel agree on one thing. What it comes down to is doing your research on an offender and the requirements that go along. Don't just rely on dots on this map, something Wisman says he's all too familiar with.
I don't think that you should be able to move in next to a family with kids if your offense is related to children. If it's not, I still think that the community should get a say as a whole.
Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
The city of Moorhead has a similar site that you can view where registered sex offenders are living. There's also a law in Minnesota requiring law enforcement to tell the community where certain sex offenders are living, working, or going to school.
The Fargo-Moorhead Diversion Authority is appealing a federal judge's decision to stop construction on the Oxbow-Hickson-Bocce ring dike. Now, the judge issued the order last week saying it's illegal for construction to begin until Minnesota's environmental impact study is complete. The Diversion Authority held a meeting tonight to let homeowners who were bought out and working on building homes within the ring dike know the halt does not affect their own personal construction.
These are homes that the people who are on the footprint of the ring dike for Oxbow, since that was the footprint, they had to move somewhere. They elected to move internal to the ring dike in Oxbow, and they had built a home and they were already bought out.
The study is expected to be done by this summer. Diversion Chairman Daryl Vanyo tells us that the judge will now have to respond to this appeal, which could take at least 2 weeks or more.
Homes may be bought out as Clay County works on plans to build a new county jail in Moorhead. The Clay County Commission says it's possible 8 to 10 homes may be purchased just north of the courthouse and law enforcement center to make room for the more than $30 million jail. The county has applied for a state grant that would cover some of the costs.
What we're trying to do right now is determine what's the most cost-effective way to accomplish that. How are we going to expand the campus if that's what we need to do? How are we going to deal with the parking issues? There's a lot of things that, because it'll be a pretty significant project once we start.
Construction of the jail is expected to start in the spring of 2017. If it is decided to buy out homes, it'd be a few years until they would need to use the property.
Today, an Islamic group hacked a local company, Arvig Communications website. Arvig provides internet, TV, phone, and security for more than 60,000 homes in Minnesota. The hack has been reported to the Department of Homeland Security, and an Arvig representative tells us that customers won't be affected. And we did actually speak with the Islamic hackers on Facebook today. If you want to read that conversation, log on to valleynewslive.com and then click on the hot button.
Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton will send the legislature into special session with a veto of an education budget he says falls way short of what's needed. The key part of Governor Dayton's proposal is a pre-kindergarten program for all 4-year-olds at a cost of $400 million. Lawmakers said some districts complained about the cost to add the program at their schools. Dayton said they didn't have to.
No one's required to do it. No school's required to do it. No school district's required to do it. No parents required to do it. They can all opt out. It's just they want to prevent other schools, school districts, and parents from having the opportunity that they decide is best for their kids.
The governor did say he and his staff would review the bills in the coming days, hoping to come up with a plan by the end of the week in order to get an agenda for the special session.
We've finally received a few answers after weeks of looking into accusations of misconduct at the North Dakota Veterans Home. Now remember this guy? 97-year-old World War II veteran Henry Satlick. His son alleges that he was kicked out of that veterans home for swearing and shaking his cane. The governing board held a special meeting today in executive session to discuss this and several other concerns brought before the facility. But because of the law, there are certain aspects that couldn't be discussed.
When you help a veteran, and it's medical and it's personal, it becomes a confidential issue and it becomes a HIPAA. And being a state agency, we're very restricted what we can say because you have to protect the resident.
Chairman Gary Scarpel calls the Veterans Home the best kept secret in North Dakota and says the staff always runs a tight facility.
A local cancer patient will benefit from the efforts of many community members who gathered tonight at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Moorhead. All of the proceeds from tonight's event will help Sharon Reen and her husband Mike after Sharon was diagnosed with breast cancer. The cancer is also in her spinal cord, spinal column, and the bones of her legs. The family teamed up with the Dakota Medical Foundation, which also helped this event become very successful.
I've never seen a more dedicated group of people who helped put this together. We had no idea we would get this kind of response from the community, friends, family, and everything else with the number of gift baskets that we have. It means a lot to them.
Sounds like quite a crowd behind him. If you would like to help out the family, we have a link on our website. Just go to valleynewslive.com and click on the hot button.